The story takes place in an elite academy called Edelweiss Academy for Girls. A group of friends gather together in a bathroom to call upon the ghost of a student who killed herself at the academy a long time ago. The story is a popular urban legend in the school, but many believe it is only an elaborate bluff. One of the girls is named Carrie, and she does not believe in it either, but the dimly lit atmosphere of the bathroom is enough to give her the creeps. Alice, who is the most popular girl in school, insists on performing this ritual, and so Carrie has no choice but to follow along. Shortly after, they hear a rustling sound coming from the bathtub. Alice slowly inches closer to inspect it, but finds nothing. Just as Carrie breathes a sigh of relief, a woman's figure suddenly jumps out of the bathtub, prompting the room to be filled with screams of terror. Carrie dashes out of the bathroom and into her own room in fright. But as it turns out, it was just a prank planned by Alice, who was laughing at the frightened expressions of her friends. Right at that moment, Carrie's loud scream echoes through the academy. The girls first think that she is just trying to get back at them for pranking her, so they decide to play along and go to check out her room. However, they are met with a horrifying scene of Carrie lying unmoving in a pool of blood on the ground below her window. Following her death, a new student by the name of Camille joins the academy. She has been on the wait list for a long time and finally got the chance to enroll. With no other rooms left, she's shown to Carrie's former room by Helena, who was a close friend of Carrie. Along the way, Camille shows a deep curiosity about the case of Carrie's death and doesn't miss the chance to talk about it with Helena. After settling down in her new room, Camille joins regular classes starting the next day. When it is time to go to the study room, she ends up sitting down on the wrong table as it is supposed to belong to Alice and her clique. However, Camille refuses to change seats. This leads to a confrontation between her against Alice and her friends. Soon, things rapidly escalate into an all-out physical fight when Camille throws a punch at Alice in retaliation. Fortunately, the headmistress manages to break up the fight and drag all the girls into her office for questioning. When Camille refuses to speak regarding the person who started the fight, in a fit of anger, the headmistress punishes them all to work at the library after class. That night, Camille has trouble sleeping in her room due to the light that keeps flickering at odd times. Just when she is starting to grow annoyed, all of a sudden, she sees Carrie's figure staring at her from the foot of her bed. Camille jolts up, but by this time Carrie's figure has already disappeared, as if it was never there. The flickering light goes out as rumbling noises start sounding from under her bed. She hurriedly turns on her cell phone light and carefully peeks under the bed, but there is nothing there. When she stands upright again, an eerie figure is lying on her bed, covered with a blanket. As blood slowly oozes from the top of the blanket, Camille's fear grows to the extreme. She jolts awake in the bed, with the light bulb still on. Letting out a shaky breath, she realizes that it was all just a nightmare. In the morning, a handyman comes in to fix her light bulbs. Coincidentally, he is also the headmistress's son who grew up in the academy. After some brief chit-chat, Camille leaves him to his own devices and goes to attend her classes. Because of her late enrollment, she has a bit of a hard time adjusting to the level of the students and is behind on the syllabus. When the teacher admonishes her for failing to answer her questions, Alice and her friends snicker quietly. In the class, the teacher also reveals that Bethany, who is one of Alice's close friends, has managed to win a hefty scholarship because of her outstanding essay. As her friends congratulate her, she shyly basks in the glory. But even for someone as excellent as her, punishment is unavoidable. Due to their fight yesterday, her clique along with Camille must transcribe multiple books in the library that would take them days' worth of effort. For the time being, all of the girls agree to put their differences aside and focus on completing the task assigned to them. When Camille goes to fetch the books, she feels someone staring at her. She grows uncomfortable and starts looking around when suddenly a masked person grabs her and she falls to the floor, alarmed. But it is just two of the other girls playing a prank on her. Annoyed by their antics, she grumpily goes back to the main room only to see the rest of the girls huddled together and slacking off on their work. Bethany has found a ritual online, and Alice insists that they must all perform it. Reluctant to work alone while the rest of them play, Camille also joins in the seance to contact Carrie. Although she expects another prank, the group is stunned when they actually make contact with a spirit, which warns them that they will be murdered. Not knowing whether they made contact with Carrie or Edelvine's ghost, or if they made any genuine contact at all instead of a prank, the group of girls feel a sense of fear and confusion. But before they can dwell on it any further, the headmistress suddenly flicks on the lights, and the girls all show a guilty face for getting caught while slacking off. The same night, one of Alice's friends sneaks out of the academy to meet her online boyfriend. She cheerfully takes a cute selfie to send it to him, but sees that the masked person is lurking behind her in the picture. Thinking that her friends want to pull a prank on her, she looks around and shouts at them to cut it out. But the next thing she knows, she is stabbed to death on the spot, and her body is slowly dragged away. The next morning, while teaching dance lessons, the headmistress gets a call about the girls' disappearance. The girls' usual friend group, including Helena and Camille, are brought to the office, where the headmistress interrogates them about her disappearance. She suspects that the girl ran away with her online boyfriend because her dorm room is empty of her belongings. The girls strongly deny the accusation because their friend would never take such a drastic action without at least informing them first, but the headmistress does not believe their words. Camille senses that there's something fishy about the situation, so she gives the handyman a call. She asks him to open the missing girl's room with a spare key, and he easily agrees. The rest of the girls also follow Camille to the room. When the handyman arrives, he sees a group of students waiting for him in the hallway, so he opens the door for them and lets them in. Since he is breaking the rules, he urges them to quickly finish what they came to do. When the girls enter the room, they find that what the headmistress said was the truth. All of the girls' belongings are missing, but upon further inspection, they discover that the contents of her secret drawer are still there, and there is no way that she would ever leave without taking them along with her. Feeling uneasy, they suspect that someone purposely staged it to look like she ran away. Just when they are about to leave the room, they uncover a strange cross drawn in blood on the bed. The girls are shaken by the discovery and take it to the headmistress, but she insists that they are playing a prank on her. Remaining unconvinced, she sternly sends them back to the library to finish their previous punishment. However, by this point, the girls cannot let this matter go, so at the library, they resume their investigation. After some searching, they find an old yearbook belonging to the class of the girl who became the Edelvine ghost. Whether it is a coincidence or not, they are shocked to see that the girl is wearing a pendant that is the same shape as the cross drawn on their friend's bed. That night, the girls disperse to their own rooms, and one of them decides to take a late-night shower. As she is showering, someone turns off the lights, so she annoyedly walks out to turn it back on. But when she comes back to shower, she notices that the water is still running when she remembers turning it off. Another strange thing is that her shampoo is somehow spilled all over the floor. Before she could show any reaction, the person in a mask quietly sneaks up from behind her, and at the next moment, her limp dead body falls to the floor with a thud. At the same time, Camille is in her room, pondering on the strangeness of this school and all the events that have unfolded. She notices that her pen has fallen on the floor, so she bends down to pick it up. But when she attempts to write, she finds that the pen is coated in blood, and now her hand also has blood on it. In order to wash it off, she ventures out into the bathroom, where she comes across the dead body of a girl who she recognizes as a member of Alice's clique. The police arrive almost immediately, as all the students gather outside their dorms to hear the final news. The result of the investigation is that the girl slipped in the bathroom and hit her head, which caused her death. All the students return back to their rooms in heavy silence. They can feel that there's something more to her death than just a regular accident, however, none of them speak out. Worried about her friend, Helena follows Camille to her room. She figures that Camille would not want to be alone after discovering the dead body of her classmate. Camille invites her in, and they both lie down on her bed, wondering about the existence of ghosts and whether they are the ones responsible for the series of tragic events. In another room, Bethany is on the phone with her mother, expressing her fears about the recent events. She wants her mother to comfort her, but all she does is express her worries about her daughter's grades. Right as Bethany ends the call, the masked figure suddenly appears inside the room. Her frightened scream resounds through the dormitories, which makes Helena and Camille go on high alert. They immediately sprint out of the room and go towards Bethany's. Thankfully, Bethany is shaken, but she is still safe and uninjured. According to her, She saw the Edelweiss ghost coming in to attack her, but she defended herself with a lamp. But when looking around the room, there is no sign of another person, as if they disappeared into thin air. Hearing her scream, the headmistress also enters the room and demands Bethany go back to sleep. In the headmistress's eyes, she is just shaken by the death of her friend. But Camille and others know that everyone who has died or disappeared was involved in the seance. For now, they decide to spend the night in pairs for more security and return to sleep. The next morning, the group of girls skip morning class and head to the study lounge. They are going to perform the Seance again to contact the ghost of their friend who recently died in the bathroom. Alice chants the words in Latin, and after the ritual is completed, she takes the initiative to ask how she died. But a word written by her spirit is completely different from the police reports. She reveals that she was murdered. Agitated, Alice quickly asks who it was that murdered her. The girls all believe that it is the handiwork of the Edelweiss ghost, but this too seems to be false as her spirit identifies Camille as her murderer. The girls are shocked, and Camille even more so. She believes that the rest of the girls are doing this on purpose and tries to reason with them, but they have already turned hostile towards her. In a fit of anger, Alice punches her face and claims that she is the one who murdered her friend, completely believing the results of the seance. Her clique also believes her to be the murderer, as Bethany takes the lead to inform her parents that if something happens to her, then the one to blame would be none other than Camille. But Camille thinks that they are all being ridiculous, as she has no reason to kill anyone, but her words fall on deaf ears. Frightened by the course of events, one of Alice's friends decides to head to the auditorium for dance practice to clear her mind. As she finishes performing her ballet stances and does a spin, she notices that she is not alone in the room. By the time she sees the masked person lurking behind her, it is already too late. With a slash of a knife, she is killed on the dance stage. The same night, Camille goes to bed early, but the spirit of Carrie continues to haunt her. As she sees Carrie, who materializes out of nowhere and disappears just as quickly, she cannot tolerate being in her room anymore. She packs her bag and moves into Helena's room, who gladly lets her in. The two girls decide to sleep in the same bed, finding comfort in each other's company. In Alice's room, she is also preparing to retire for the night, but she suddenly gets a text message asking her to meet up outside the dorms because her friend, who presumably ran away, has come back. Alice quickly puts on a jacket and heads out. Hearing her footsteps in the hallway, Camille is also stirred awake. She immediately pockets a knife and goes out of the room to follow Alice. But unknown to her, the masked figure is lying in wait at the end of the hallway. The person jumps out to strike her unconscious and slowly drags her body away. Alice, on the other hand, is already out of the dorm building by this time. She cautiously walks to their decided meeting place, but instead of her friend, she is met with her dead body that is tied up to a tree by her neck. But before she even has the chance to scream, she too is knocked unconscious. Both Alice and Camille are taken to the old library and tied up to a chair. This time, the masked figure comes out of the dark and reveals himself to be the academy handyman, as well as the headmistress's son. But that is not all, as it turns out. There are actually two masked people who are responsible for all the murders, and the second one is none other than Bethany. The reason for her actions is really simple. The essay that won her the hefty scholarship is one of Carrie's depression essays that she plagiarized. To keep anyone from finding out, she needed to kill Carrie, but soon she realized that just Carrie is not enough. To perfectly keep Bethany's secret, she needed to kill Carrie's entire friend group who could recognize her essays. Camille's enrollment in the academy was like a blessing to her. As Camille got into a fight with Alice's entire clique on her first day at school, Bethany could now easily pin the blame of all the murders on Camille, and everyone would believe it. Although Helena might still support Camille, it is quite easy for Bethany to stage her suicide. And to support Bethany's grand plan, she had the help of her longtime boyfriend, the headmistress's son. He has always been prone to violence since childhood, but none of the doctors and therapists arranged by his mother were able to cure him. He is also the one who killed the student who is rumored to be the Edelweiss ghost, and he then staged her murder as a suicide. Camille is in complete disbelief to see such a twisted pair of couples. She understands that she must escape as fast and as far as possible, but with Alice still unconscious, Camille has no choice but to rely on herself. She distracts the duo by telling her own story. She's not actually named Camille, and it is only an identity that she has adopted in order to investigate the death of her childhood friend Carrie. As she tells the story, she sneakily pulls out a knife from her pants and attempts to cut the rope that is binding her hands. Unfortunately, Bethany sees through her actions and seizes the knife. She orders her boyfriend to kill Alice first and leave Camille alive for now. But before he could make a move, the lights suddenly go out. As Bethany goes away to fix the lights, her boyfriend is suddenly hit in the head by Helena, who is led by Carrie's spirit to arrive just in time to save the day. With him now passed out, she quickly undoes the ropes binding Camille, and the same for Alice. While supporting Alice's unconscious body, the two girls swiftly move to get out of the room, but Bethany ambushes them on the way. She begins attacking the girls with a knife, so Camille draws her attention away from Helena and Alice and begins to fight with her. After a fierce fight, Camille manages to gain the upper hand by loosening the tube lights and making them crash against Bethany. But unfortunately, a piece of plaster falls from the roof, knocking Camille out. As they reach a stalemate with both of them lying injured on the floor, Bethany slowly crawls to her knife, but Camille is one step ahead as she swiftly stabs Bethany in the neck with a broken piece of tube light, instantly killing her. By this time, Alice has already regained consciousness, so Camille tells her and Helena to escape quickly and call the police. Bethany's boyfriend is still inside the library, so Camille must stay here to keep a watch on him. But when Camille returns to where his unconscious body is supposed to be, the place is empty with only a small puddle of blood left behind on the floor. She immediately runs to hide behind a bookshelf and bids her time to sneak an attack on him. When the man comes knocking down the shelves in order to find her, Camille takes this chance to stab him in the leg. With him injured, she pushes a heavy bookshelf down on his head, instantly decapitating him. As the murderers of her friend are now dead, Camille has successfully managed to avenge Carrie. She has no reason to stay in this academy with a false identity anymore, so she goes back to her room and immediately starts packing her bags, intending to leave before the police arrive. But before she can escape, she is confronted by Helena, resulting in her revealing everything from her fake identity to her close relationship with Carrie. She assures Helena that she will come to find her one day. And so Camille walks away from the Edelvine Academy after waving goodbye to Helena and Carrie's spirit. Thanks for tuning in. A thumbs up would be amazing because I've got some bills to pay.
Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right?